My name's Margaret Kennard, and I'm the director of the Impala Research Center. I went over the EIA, and it's pretty much what I would call a farce. It has nothing to do with the part in Laikipia, has nothing to do with Laikipia. So it actually looks like a document that was done for the Tana Delta, and the Tana Delta was erased and Laikipia put in. So I would like some honest response to what you do when you receive an EIA like that. Why is it pending? Why is it not just rejected and we ask for another one with better consultants? As you said, it's a multi-stakeholder thing, and obviously your biologists were way out in the wrong county on that one.
Those are the issues that we are looking at currently, and that's why it is pending, so that issues are clarified. It might not necessarily require another EIA to be done, because as the officer from Ketrako mentioned, when you are talking about power transmission line, there should be alternatives, and each alternative route must be qualified, and the impact associated with each route, so that eventually we adapt a route that has minimum impact to the environment, and it's also economically viable as far as Ketrako is concerned. And that's why we are saying consultations are still on. You as key stakeholders, we are still going to consult you. We have gotten your concern, and I hope those concerns are in writing, so that we will be able to address them fully. I hope those concerns are in writing.
I know the issues that are concerned here. Now that's to do with quality. I've read it, I read the comments that came. And one of the challenges we are having are the experts. The issues at hand may be very much affected by the data with which we are working with. Because if you don't have the correct data to make interpretation. But as he has said, we have many sections. The issue of experts who are doing cut-paste, you want to say there is a section that is required to talk about biodiversity. They have done a previous work in Tana River or in Mao ranges, and you find that they are finding the Tana River red colobus in Matthew's range is something which is a problem to us and which is appearing at that stage. What we are doing now, we have had 2 meetings. We want them to form an association that is self-regulating, like lawyers, because we've kicked out quite a few now. Suspending license for 3 years if we find you are involved in that. And I think in the last 3 months we have taken out of the list 3 people just because of that. Because a very good piece of work can be compromised by a shortage of. A lot of these people are dealing directly with yourselves, producing poor quality work, because obviously there are so many scientists who have a lot of information on that. However, as Langwen said, pengine sio mzuri trying to completely reject the project, an EIA, because of one misinterpretation at one section. The reason for that is because this is a wide-ranging issue. What we would like to do, wakati wa consultations, that area ambayo iko affected, we'll zero in and concentrate more on that one. Those small issues of like finding Tana River red colobus or maybe whatever hierarchy where it's not supposed to be are issues of integrity and quality, which is quite key. But we are addressing it. We think we have many issues zingine zinatu affect are extraneous to the project, because the quality of the expert and the issue at hand, because this is a national issue. We want our people to get power, and everybody agrees we need power. But the small issues that are distracting us may be issues of individuals and the quality of the work, and also the ethics, because ethics is an issue. So we are dealing with them individually. We don't rush to reject, but we are very sure that by the time tumekubali hiyo ifanywe, we have done wide consultations on the same. So we can assure you that we will not do a decision ambayo it will surprise people. It will have been deliberated on, and it is the right way to go with the agreements on that. But we would like to avoid sectioning a certain section which might have a very strong voice, because then it means that we can be very effective. If you look at where it's passing through community land, there might even be bigger issues there, but they don't have a voice. Then there is a section of people who are very strong, and they will easily be able to communicate So if we are influenced by such decisions, we'll make a decision which is not for the national good. So we'd like to ask for patience in these things so that we treat it uniform, ndio kila mtu afaidike.
One moment before we take a question from Anthony. Maybe I'd like to ask the Ketraco people. Labda baada Bwana Lang'wen kujibu hiyo swali linalofuata, ungetueleza labda kwa kiufundi ujenzi wa power line inaweza ikaathiri kivipi wanavijiji, labda kama itabidi mtu ahamishe manyata yake ama ataambiwa hawezi jenga mahali fulani, labda mnaweza mkatueleza vile mahali hiyo line itaelekea, labda itabidi watu wasongeshe manyumba umbali wa mita kadhaa kutoka kwa hiyo line, labda hivyo vigingi vitakuwa wa urefu wa futi ngapi, na labda maelezo mengine ya kiufundi, labda mnaweza mkatueleza baada ya hiyo swali linalofuata. Anthony, please.
My name's Anthony King. I was formerly in the hot seat that Mordecai now occupies, and was here when the project first came to light through Laikipia. It's just my observation in the way that things have progressed is there's an impression, hence the interest, the intense interest in the people who are here today, that decisions have been made and things can't be changed. There's a very strong impression that has been given to Laikipia that the line is going to go where it was proposed, AC, and there cannot be any alternatives and adjustments to that line. And that's the impression that people have here in Laikipia. And the concern with that is that none of those people affected by that line have actually been spoken to yet. No one has actually been to see where those people live, what they do, what is the nature of livelihoods and the economy in that area, and what might the impact of that line be to that dimension of life there and those people. No one has yet been there. Yet the impression given to Laikipia is that the line is coming, come what may. And I think maybe it would be good to hear whether in fact that is not the case or whether that is the case, because it will determine very much how the people of Laikipia will engage in this process going forward. Whether it will be what the DG said, a partnership, a collaborative working relationship seeking solutions, or whether it will be confrontational, legal impediments that will cause difficulties for everyone involved. I think it's important that we get that clarification.
Can you take the other two then?
I'm very support. I just want to ask Mtratko something. All the other big power lines that I've seen across Kenya are following a main road, because I presume you have to service it. So how come you're considering going across country when the main roads are far away? It's a technical problem, and I think it should be addressed, because I presume that the government must realise that it would be more practical to follow a main road. Okay?
I think that
One very brief one. Forrest, a farmer from Laikipia West. You mentioned the line Nyahururu parallel. Can you tell us how far that's gone? Has it been approved? What's the position with that line?
Thank you. I was to come to it after we complete the one of Kenya Ethiopia. Now, what Andon has raised, whether this line, the transmission, the AC, you know, as far as Ketraco is concerned, who is a proponent, that is a submission they have given to the authority, amongst other routes. But as far as the authority is concerned, we haven't arrived at the final route. And that's why we are saying, when we will be finally looking at the entire transmission, if there is an issue within possibly Marsabit or Laikipia, we will send the proponent back to go and address those issues with the community, with a possibility of rerouting, coming with another alternative route until we get an acceptable way forward. But I've said, you know, you have also to take their concerns. Some of these routes, when they choose them, there are reasons why they choose those routes. But we would want those reasons to be communicated to the community so that the community can appreciate why is Ketraco insisting on a route passing through a certain place. They have reasons. And also the community have their concerns. So eventually, as NEMA, we haven't said we have agreed or we have arrived at a particular route. We have just received the submission from Ketraco. And we will look holistically at the whole project, and then we'll make the final decision. On Nyahururu Marara, that report has just been received at NEMA. All this power transmission, this is what we were to say when Mr. Uma was giving his submission on the process. Power transmission lines, project in ecologically sensitive areas like the ranch and others, all of them are subjected to a full study. They have to go to a full study. It's only up to the full study that the public can effectively be engaged. That is the time now a project will appear in the papers, it will appear in the Kenya Gazette, soliciting for views of those who are concerned. So for this particular line, we have written back to them, we have asked them to upgrade that report from a project report to a full study. Very shortly, you will be seeing it in the papers. Very shortly, you will be seeing them around again engaging you on that particular line. So we are still very far away on that process.
I think before the last question on the technical matter that Verity raised, I'd just like to say here that we've spoken with the NEMA officers, and we'd like to set up a process by which, when those notices come up, we can have them come up on our website as well, particularly the ones in reference to Laikipia. Maybe.
Just a brief intervention. I think it's good to be patient, because if you have no reason to preempt, you know, it's like you need to be patient, put your case forward, and only have justification to preempt a certain assumption that you make that this has already been decided. I think it's also good to be fair, because we are saying this and you are telling us that we don't give reassurances here because there are consultations. Gibbon 3, you are all aware, has even bigger problems than the Laikipia one here. There is issues that are being dealt with about the level of Lake Turkana. So really, we cannot rush to make decisions. We are watching many things which are happening. These people are doing their job, they are Ketraco. We are doing our job, it's NEMA. There are even bigger political decisions to be made. So there is a big case about how that project is going to affect Turkana. So really, there is, each of us protect their own turf, so that you are not affected by this. But it's quite a lengthy process. We can assure you we are watching, but as I said before, and Langwen has specified, we haven't made a decision, and we are waiting for many other information to come along. Every section has its own issues to deal with, and when it comes, we will be consulting again, because at this stage, they have said what they would like. A, B, C, D, and then they have chosen A, C, D, brought to us. We'll advertise, we'll be able to give you a feedback. We've already gone ahead. The reason why we don't have capacity, as we agree, as David says, so we have brought out so that all the capacities and their suggestions can come to us, and we consider those as we go forward. So yeah, we have many other big issues really, like he was.
Maybe if I could ask the colleagues from Ketraco to answer that technical matter. Then we'll take yours.
Maybe a very quick one.
Yeah.
I totally agree with the Director General NEMA and his team. In any case, when we make a report, a project study report, we say proposed route. It's not a Kenya Ethiopia route. It is a proposed. I think that the connotation, we need to be very familiar with the wording, and so that we know. A very quick one again on Marara Nyahururu. I think we have just awarded to the consultant the other day. This is a line that is very infant stage, and I know whatever they have taken there may be a term of reference. This is something that we can take control of. If they are very legitimate concern, let's raise it so that we see how we can address it one and for good. I said we believe in public consultation. Now, and even when we are doing the line, we have already indicated we'll work with the people here just to discuss issues. We cannot say the EIA has no errors and all that. But we must also understand the general aspect of it. The issue is, what is the line? What is the positive? What is the negative? Are those negative adequately addressed in terms of mitigation? I think maybe if there's a semantic in, somebody in the report said instead of steep slope, hill slope, you say hilltop. I know that is one of the comments, which we said we are not going to put it in the hilltop. I remember communicating in written to the, because that then it's auspiciously appear, and that is not our intention. I do believe that. So on the Marral, Nyaururu, Rumuruti, Marral, please, let's not even make it a big issue. Let's not even make it, because nothing has been decided, even from our side. We only say we want to pass there. Is it possible? If it's not possible, tell us it's not possible because of 1, 2, 3, but also give us a suggestion. This is a line that is going to serve this nation. Don't just say, no, it's going to pass here. You know here, you are the professors here. Even if you are not going to school, I know my moms and dads around here in court. There are people who know more than even the professors who are going to the university. Tell us, advise us, and then we are going to follow that. That is assurance that we are going to give. On the issue of...
was the question Verity asked about why it didn't follow...
Road, very clear. We have engineers here, I'm not an engineer, but we have our route selection criteria. Route selection criteria, which are very explicit, drawn by a team of senior engineers. We are always want to be closer as much as possible, reasonably close to the road. But you don't want to be very close to the road. We don't want to be very close to towns. Why? This is something for posterity. This is a permanent thing. There are other factors that we don't want it to get closer. Maybe, one thing again, maybe from Marsabit route, it has been getting closer to the road. Here, there were some issues that we had to evade. And this line don't just take corners at will. Making a pylon to change an angle point, to change it, it means a lot of issues. Maybe here the engineers will address, but the Marsabit side, we have gone closer to the road. And maybe one thing about this SC route, why we have opted this, is something to do with the PGW, Optimal Power Line Ground Wire, which carries the internet. We felt if we go closer to Marsabit, the Marsabit County will get the internet. Lysamis, Marsabit North will get the internet. All those towns, maybe Wamba, which is also a district, will get the internet. That was one consideration while we are moving. We cannot follow the, like in Nanyuki here, surely. If you bring that power line with 60 meter corridor to here, it will bring more harm than good. But I am saying these are proposed routes. We have taken alternatives, as we have indicated, various of them. We are still open to discussion. NEMA has indicated they have not approved. Because if there's error somewhere, and the only request I make, topos we will correct. Please, let's not maybe forget the general reasoning of EIA. Because in terms of soil, we have engineers who will go and sample all these soil. Those reports are all there, the design, engineering, and all that. We can even provide that so that you see the engineering aspect of it as considered what actually is here. Because these pylons are not just dropped there. Not for the concern of even people, even for concern of us, and for concerns of the technical aspect of it. Every aspect has to be identified. The soil has to be tested. We can even move on the ground of soil itself, because you cannot put a pylon where it cannot be. Maybe on the other aspect of Marsabit, we could not go through Chalbi Desert. I know many people have said, why don't you move out of this and then drop it in Chalbi? Chalbi is an area that floods. That's where I was born. It floods and it's safe for people who are here. For long, marshy, and you cannot put pylon surely for even the purpose of maintenance. But one thing again we say, this is a very long line. We don't necessarily use road to service it. We have choppers for this line. You cannot expect somebody to drive from Nairobi moving to Moyale there, which is almost 1,000 kilometers, to go and service, when a quarter of Kenyan power system is in shambles. So to that effect, we might also appreciate technology. Why we must not follow this? We'll just follow it. We have the connect tab, go there and service it. The budget for the choppers are there, no? Maybe that is the general aspect of...
Okay, I'll take the groups of three. We have one from...
Maybe my engineer here can talk about the...
I'll just ask her to come up and give up those details. We'll receive 3 questions for now. First Councillor, then the gentleman there, then David. Then the engineer will also come to give us some technical. Please brief.
I'm asking my question from
Introductory.
I'm Councillor Moses from Odoniro. From a Mwananchi point of view, who is not a landowner, who is not a project manager, or who is not a government representative, from that point of view. One is from the community's point of view, many times, the government of Kenya does not have a human face. So when I first heard that Ketraco is purely a government project, I started growing suspicious. And
Yes, the face there.
yes. And when I say this, I'm saying it from a point of view of my place of the year. He said there are many routes, and eventually maybe they are going to land on one route or the other. But I'm sure there is one route that is proposed past the road of the Nilo. They have even mapped, they have put some beacons. And considering that in Kenya, land issues are emotive issues. And the moment they put those beacons on those places, already there is a suspicion among the communities that why this without consultation? Why we are not told about this? So that point already brings suspicion to the ground that whatever they are doing could be good for the national government, but might not be very good to the specific communities where this power line will cut across. Number 2 is, as communities in Kenya, especially the pastoral communities, we've lived for 50 years waiting for unfulfilled government promises to build our schools, to build water resources, the roads, and all of a sudden now there is a power line which does not even have the national grid that we can immediately use in Odoniro and other places. And we still think this is the same government. That maybe for the interest of rich individuals in this country, this power line is being brought across our place. So we are also of the opinion that they better use the roads, the existing roads. Because why would KETRA or the government of Kenya incur expenses compensating individuals when they can use the little funds or the more funds to pass the thing along the roads and not incur any expenses compensating individuals? I'm not a technical expert in terms of environment, but I'm sure the little hope we have as communities is that the Director General in NEMA will take this cup of suffering away from us, because we think this is going to be a problem for the communities. And so our hope lies in NEMA, that there may be so many routes that have been proposed, but I think the one route ambayo inapitia ndani ya communities, I think for us, somebody mentioned that we also need the political goodwill. I think from the community, it does not have the political goodwill, because the first approach, I think, was wrong. Thank you.
The gentleman back there.
It's all about the community. So, for the success of the Ken Tracker, we appreciate every movement that Kenya government does for the development of Kenya. But as pastoralists, we didn't see, we are not so much involved about what's going on. So before I move to my house, I think I just need in advance how I should do it. I'm not saying that's how it is, but we just need a mobilization of how it works, the benefit to us, and because there is advantages and disadvantages to everything, we would like to be told so we know the advantages and disadvantages. So we will say yes, or we will give a contribution of how it should be done as well. So that's my suggestion.
I'm David Parkinson, I'm General Manager of Loldiga Hills. My question is one of access to information. in that a lot of what I've heard this morning is completely new to me. And so I don't even know if I'm being affected, either as the General Manager of Laikipia Hills or as a house owner in the middle of Laikipia. So my question is, how do I access that information, or how does anybody else access that information about where the proposed routes or the decided route is or are? How do I find it?
Okay, thank you. Maybe you can come. Now, on the matter of information, I think one of the key outcomes of this meeting is that we are going to work out, i.e. as LWF Secretariat, we are going to work out with NEMA and with KETRACO to facilitate information flow from whatever reports and progress of these discussions, for them to have all these come to us and we post on our website immediately. Those are for those obviously with internet access, and also through we have community liaison officers, etc. So we'll do whatever we can to facilitate flow of this information, either through our CLOs, through our education program, and put it up, get it out there in Kiswahili as well. So that's one thing we have recognized. There's a lot of there's a lot of problems with flow of information.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Daphne Juma. I'm an electrical engineer from KETRACO. I'd like to talk first about the high voltage DC line that is upcoming, that is traversing Laikipia County from Ethiopia to Kenya. It is a 500 kV high voltage DC line, which is around 1,045 kilometers, with 622 kilometers on the Kenyan side, and 433 kilometers on the Ethiopian side. So this high voltage DC line is the first one in East Africa. Commonly, the transmission lines that we have now are AC, alternating current, but this is a DC line which is intended to evacuate power from Ethiopia to Kenya. The reason why we are using a DC line is because of the distance. If we are traversing 1,000 kilometers all the way from Ethiopia to Kenya to evacuate power either from Kenya to Ethiopia or Ethiopia to Kenya, we will incur heavy power losses. If we send a certain number of megawatts from Ethiopia to Kenya and vice versa, if we use an AC line, we'll have we'll only get maybe 30% of the power. So we'll have heavy losses, which is uneconomical. And that's why we are using a direct current line. And then this direct current line, unlike the common alternating current line, has smaller towers because we only have two conductors, the positive pole and the negative. And then on top of the two conductors, we just have the earth wire. So it's a smaller tower than the common towers we have around here. And then we intend to export by 2015 only 2,000 megawatts of power from Ethiopia, but in the long term we'll increase that capacity. So the benefits of this line, first and foremost, is that you need to have cheaper power from either Kenya to Ethiopia or Ethiopia to Kenya. Currently, you realize that the cost of power in Kenya is unaffordable to majority of the citizens of Kenya. And also we have limited access to electricity in Kenya. Only 20% of the population in Kenya can access electricity right now in Kenya. So right now, together with Kenya Power and Lighting and Rural Electrification Authority and the different power generating utilities, we are working on a target of increasing this accessibility of power to the common wananchi by 2030. So that's why we're exporting at least 2,000 megawatts from Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, they have very massive resources of hydroelectricity. Right now they have a potential of 25,000 megawatts and they're only using 2,000 megawatts. So we decided to have an import of power from Ethiopia to aid our Kenyan grid, because currently we realize that when we have droughts, we have power rationing, and sometimes when we have peak load in the evenings, we have load shedding, whereby some regions have to go without power to support the voltages. The reason why they shed the load is to maintain the voltages. If there is high demand and low power supply, the voltage starts fluctuating, and then we can even go to an extent of having a national blackout. So to avoid this, together with other projects apart from the export of power, that's why we need this Kenya Ethiopia line. And then how this power will reach to the communities, we cannot tap the power from the high voltage DC lines. It will go to Suswa substation, then it will be converted now to AC. So the Ethiopian side sends power in AC form, comes through DC via the line, then goes to Suswa substation where it will be converted to AC for use in Kenya. And you will agree with me that there are so many ongoing projects with the Rural Electrification Authority to supply power to public utilities like schools, hospitals, dispensaries, and the local community. So we are working together in line with this. And then another major benefit is internet. We have an optical fiber cable under the sea to improve connectivity, internet connectivity around Kenya. So with these many transmission lines that we are making around across the country, each line currently from Ketrako has optical ground wire, OPGW, whereby after every few kilometers we'll have stations where we can tap the optical signals to provide internet to schools. We are also working together with the Ministry of Education to make sure that schools will have internet accessibility with the upcoming power projects. So from this, I'd like to just take you briefly on the construction of our power lines. Someone asked about the towers, their heights, and how line construction will affect the communities around us. First of all, we have our towers. They are mostly made from steel lattice towers, just similar to these big pylons, but they are a bit smaller and slender. And the tower height is variable depending on the terrain. We don't have a standard height of a tower just for the whole line. The tower height is determined by the terrain. So if you have there's a clearance whereby the distance between the conductor and the ground should be maintained for safety purposes. So the basic height, the average height is around 40 meters. If you are traversing a forest, you can increase the height so that you do not affect the vegetation. If you are traversing somewhere where there is wildlife, we'll probably increase the height and maybe lengthen the span to give minimum effects to the environment.
40 meters?
It's average of 40 meters, but it's not standard. We can go lower than 40 meters. If the terrain is good, we can do less than that. And then tower line constructions, our towers rest on foundations. So there'll be excavation of the ground, and then we have foundations made from concrete. Then from that foundations, we'll erect our towers, that's the second phase. And finally, we'll do stringing of the conductor. And the effects of this on the common mananchi on the ground, when we are doing all these projects, we'll not like clear the whole way leaf just like once. The way leaf is around 50 meters, where from the center line of the power line, 25 meters on this side and 25 meters on this side. So in this way leaf trace, we don't, we will not require any buildings or any obstacles under that trace. But if anyone is found to be habiting such an area, we have our resettlement action plan, whereby each individual is compensated, and we relocate you. You're given money to relocate before even the construction commences, and that is done in consultation with the community. And then somebody asked about our relations with the public concerning this resettlement. First of all, you can check from, we have done several projects where we relocated people using our resettlement action plans. There's a Rabai Malindi Garsen Lamu line. There's a Kilimambogo Thika Gidambo line. Those are lines that have already been constructed. And you can get information from how we've resettled people. So far, there are no complaints about the way Ketrako is handling the people in the community, because we do it consultatively. So the resettlement action plan, we had last year in November, together with the project team on the Ethiopia line, we had the disclosure of the resettlement action plan to the local administration. So even right now, if you go to the DC's offices, all the way from Suswa to Moyale, they have the resettlement action plan document. It has even details of where the line is traversing, but that is the proposed line route. And then with this document, now we are planning on doing community sensitization. So don't just assume that we'll come to construct our lines without consulting with the community. So our social economics and engineering team and land economics team will come to the ground and hold public barazas in each and every location and sub-location, and give you our views on the line and collect also your views and responses concerning the proposed transmission line.
I want to ask 2 questions, quick ones. One is the engineer talked about selection criteria that you're using for the power line, the route selection criteria. I'm inclined to think that these are the considerations here. The considerations here are largely engineering. Are there any ecological, socio considerations in the route selection criteria here? Because you can easily tell us that this is a route that we have chosen based on engineering considerations. But then have you looked at the ecological, social considerations, pastoralism issues and environmental issues? We know that this north side of the country is a tourism circuit, and it's perhaps the only remaining area where the environment is very pristine. I don't know whether that has been factored in your selection of the route. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Liz Rehoy. I'm from the Zeitz Foundation. Firstly, I'd like to thank our colleagues from NEMA and Laikipia for coming up and speaking to us. I think it's sending a very important message to us all that there will be a consultation process. But I would like to raise one important point. Everybody from NEMA and Laikipia have mentioned that in an EIA, it is a requirement that there was a public consultation. That is a legal requirement of an EIA. So I would just like to ask everybody in this room, and please translate this for me, Mordecai. I believe everyone in this room was affected or is affected by the power line. Was anybody in this room consulted during the EIA process about this?
No.
No.
Me.
You were. So
and I wrote a statement.
Sorry?
And I wrote a statement.
But you were the only person in Laikipia who's affected by this who was consulted. Okay. Director, I think this is a very important point because you've all been making the point today that one of the options is that you're just going to come back here and educate people as to why we should have the current line. You're saying there might be a consultation process, but the other option, as Betty, the director, and the last speaker just said, was they might simply come back and tell us all why they're going to do this. So I think that NEMA and Laikipia need to understand very clearly that in the current EIA that you are looking at, there was no consultation process. Therefore, I would question as to whether or not you should even be considering the EIA, because it doesn't meet your own legal requirements. Okay.
I think something that hasn't come up, as Emma's just said, is the big concern is the role tourism plays in the economy here. And it's the aesthetics. So if this line was buried and not seen, essentially it's fine as long as it can't be seen. Because the tourism business in this region depends on the scenery. And those people who come and pay the money, which is generating just in the area of that line, in that small corner of Laikipia and Oldoniro, about 600 million shillings a year into the economy. Okay, it's supporting over 900 jobs per year, plus another 2,000 beyond that. That if this line was not visible, it's not really a problem. But if it's visible, it affects that economy significantly, because the economy is based on the scenery more or certainly as much as the wildlife. And I think this is something that hasn't come up today. It's that aesthetic nature. If this line can be invisible, it's not so much of a problem at all.
My biggest concern, even from conservation, we were talking about the power line, and I was even looking at lapset. Lapset makes the power line look like child's play. Because when you have high-speed rail, a highway, and a pipeline, even a man with his goats can't cross that, leave alone an elephant. Those of us who have seen high-speed rail, you know, a person can't walk across high-speed rail. Habitat connectivity. The Director General talked about landscape level management plans. We've made a start here. So I think this is the beginning of, this is just the beginning. Huu ni mwanzo wa kuongea kuhusu haya mambo. Hatutarajii kumaliza uamuzi yote leo kuhusu ujenzi wa power line ama ya barabara ama chochote. Lakini tumejuana na tumeanza kuzungumza. Tumesikia kwamba kutakuwa mabaraza yenye maoni yote itabidi wachukue. Hiyo ni kisheria. Itabidi wachukue maoni yote na wafanye uamuzi mwafaka. Hakuna kazi yoyote itaanza kabla baraza haijafanywa na maoni yote kuchukuliwa kamili. Na vile Bwana Godana alisema hata kuna wale wataamua mimi sitaki, hiyo maoni lazima itashughulikiwa, kwamba kuna mtu fulani mahali fulani hataki. Hakuna mwenye anaweza kulazimishwa kulingana na katiba mpya ya Kenya. Hakuna yoyote mwenye anaweza kulazimishwa kitu bila kuongeleshwa, bila kukubali. Kwa hivyo haya yatafanywa baadaye. Lakini nadhani mnaweza ona kwamba mumeona wenye wanatekeleza hii kazi na watawaeleza zaidi kuhusu nia yao kwa kutekeleza hii kazi. I think Liz's comment touched on a very important point of principle, that the EIA, as it was done, left out a number of legal requirements of the same. So I think I'll pass that on back to NEMA, and I think the Director General alluded to it by saying that it has not been accepted and passed thus far. But I think I'll let the Director General close the issue of try and close the issue of power line, and we'll set out an agenda for barazas and public hearings later on, which us as the forum, we will communicate to everybody. We will help them publicize through whatever machinery we have. And because we did have another issue that I had put forward to them, and unfortunately we've not spoken about at all, which was biological control of the issues of opinion.
I'm a bit concerned. I'm coming from an environmental point of view. And when you look at our environment, the built-up environment, it's increasing at a very fast rate. And when you look at the wild one, we have these exotic invasive species. Opuntia is one of them. We have those people who've been from Kimanjo heading to Odoyo. There's Ipomia which is coming up, and people are losing vast pieces of land. And my concern is, from NEMA point of view, what is your position with regard to this? Because it seems like at least Ojo has taken a lead in Opuntia. That's a tip of the iceberg. What will happen to the rest of the country? Because in Baringo we have Madenge, at the coast, in Savo we still have Opuntia. We have different species of Opuntia which are invasive in different parts of the country. So I'm putting this question to NEMA. What is their thinking about invasive species? Because the focus has been quite a lot on the built-up environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kimani. Sorry, Mordecai, there would be a good opportunity to, following the Conservation Committee meeting a week ago or so, the proposal actually to set up a working group in Laikipia for, well, it was Opuntia, but actually I think for these invasive plant species in Laikipia, and I know that there were some people proposed, but I think it would be good for the DG to know that the forum and the subcommittee of the board was proposing to actually set up a working group on these invasive species to help facilitate these discussions and deliberations.
So that question in generality, that invasive species are a big issue to us. We have the best example being Madenge and hyacinth, for example. We have done a lot of scientific research on them, and in the end, some of them has come to just manual removal. We know the technicalities of manual removal for some species like Opuntia, because you can remove it, but what are you going to do with it, where you put it, and all that kind of thing. So then, issues of biological control come. But those of you who are biologists on invasive species or just any biology, you will know that when we are dealing with biological agents or biological control, it's a very sensitive area. NEMA has no capacity to make decisions on that. So we work with agencies like KEFIS, KEFRI, ICRAF, and all others who are dealing with those species. So when something like that comes to us, we call a technical advisory committee, and they will deliberate on the decision we make. Then from the people. That. So invasive species are a complete, challenge, not just for NEMA, but for everyone who is dealing with it. It's a sensitive area. We don't rush into it. Lots of discussions are done, but in the end, you will notice that what influences our decision, just like in any other area, is what the expert departments of government do. And even them, they will go all the way to other researchers who have done that before, and then we bring together all that information and make a decision. So we have many other species like that. I know biological control has been used in Kenya before. Tried on hyacinth, tried on Salvinia molesta in Lake Naivasha without much success. But where that can be a success and it's demonstrable, we have no reason to deny licenses or anything like that. All we need to be sure is that those who know it and those who are authorized by government to give decisions on that are advising us on which basis we make a recommendation.
Thank you. Another thing I'd add is it's since like Oljogi has taken quite a lead on this, and once we get the feedback from the relevant officers at NEMA, I think us as the forum we will embark on aggressively seeking resources to implement whatever suite of methods that has been approved for that, because I know for a fact it's a big matter of concern for UNDP as well, and we may be able to get some resources from that. So thank you, Director, for that, and thanks also to Oljogi for the work they have done in bringing this issue front and center. I think invasive species are a deep matter of concern, but immediately what we are going to start through our various programs is we are going to stop stopping people from planting. We have to get there and stop people from planting it, even as we are waiting for a way forward on ways of reducing it, because it will not work for us to be working so hard on this end while other people are planting it right near our vegeta there. Another matter that was raised by the NEMA people is the matter of CSR, corporate social responsibility. I'd just like to say, from the forum's perspective, the forum actually sort of grew out of, in a way, the forum grew out of this CSR. So CSR I think is a very well established concept in Laikipia, and our member conservancies, the member institutions are pretty involved in it, as we as the forum secretariat help mobilize funds from elsewhere to augment what our members are putting towards various development initiatives in Laikipia. I'd just as mentioned here, so far Oljogi, represented by Jamie and Mr. Kimani there, has taken a lead on the Opuntia issue. Thus far, that has been done just with Oljogi resources. So we really appreciate input from our members on that matter and a lot of other matters. So I think the NEMA officers, I think we'll get in. You can get in touch with us as the forum secretariat, and I think we can tell you more on what Zait's Foundation, Oljogi, Kisima Foundation and others are doing in this area, and we can give you run you down the list of what's going on, but and put you in touch with those who are actually doing it. But it is, I'd just like to say in summary that it is a very significant initiative out of which the forum grew, and one that we continue to benefit from. I think it has added a lot of value to the forum as an institution over the years. I don't know if any members would have something to add on to what I've said.
Maybe just, it's so difficult to value how people go out. So sometimes when you quote the millions of shillings, but over the last few years, looking at it as we do, and in fact we're doing a study at the moment to describe the rural economy of Laikipia, which includes essentially how conservancies and the larger organizations are engaging beyond their boundaries to assist poorer communities. It certainly, in terms of expenditure, exceeds it exceeds something like 700 or 800 million shillings a year, and of course there's an enormous amount of in-kind contribution in terms of technical equipment, and nearly all of it, the vast majority, is public-private partnership. So whether it's with the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Education, roads, or water, whoever it might be. So it's very, very significant.
I appreciate what Richard Anthony King, I know King, I wasn't sure if it's Richard, what Dr. King has said. The reason why I invoked that was not to question, because in fact it was not our mandate to decide whether. We were looking at issues that make EIA, particularly public participation, easier. That EIA is supported by many things. When you have a public hearing, for people to support what you are doing, they need to be sensitized in many ways, particularly if they need to understand that this project is good to us. We really don't enforce that, but we are looking at issues that can actually make compliance very easy. If you have an EIA going out to the public hearing, you want to build this and this, when communities are asked about it and they have participated or gained from that, it becomes very easy. Then those are some of the tools that make EIA process very easy. So we did not invoke it here as a topic that it's a compliance issue, you have to give so much, but it's good to recognize all the time what this is all about. So it needs to come out and it supports the process. Yeah. And where I'm at here, I would like to say that the general ecosystem plan, I know you have a strategy and all that sort of thing, but we want not to start licensing facilities per individual, because you have capacity as the LWF to plan on the ecosystem so that we can be dealing with issues of carrying capacity. Among yourselves, you decide how much we need with consultation to us. And before many members leave, I wanted to say that those, we have the corrigenda on effluent discharge licenses or water quality regulations, which were revised as a consultative process and the new guidelines on how much facilities pay based on volume. And this is quite important because all facilities which are not connected to a sewer, which are what we are dealing with you people, we require this. And the license is for us to monitor. They are annual, quarterly, those of you who have been doing it and complying, they are quarterly audit report. We were discussing with somebody if actually people would not like these audits to be done this period of time, 1 year and 1, 2 years, it's up to you to come forward and put justification and it's discussed. However, for us as NEMA, and this is very key to me, I do not want us to be chasing anybody. So we are engaging on an exercise of mapping facilities. We need your cooperation on this. Every facility which is under license or compliance from NEMA, we are going to have a GIS position on it, and we are going to enter it into a database. We want our officers to do something different other than coming to collect money from you. So the way it's going to work is that you are going to cooperate. We will be, when you pay, the receipt number will be reflecting on that. So on our computer it can say this is blue, we don't need to change this, or green. These are red, they need to be brought to us. So it's a matter of you regulating yourself, saving us resources and us. And two, it's a matter of us being able to know what facilities we are dealing with. Right now, facilities are dotted all over the place. In fact, if you ask our county director, he probably doesn't know because the compliant community, yourselves, Laikipia Wildlife Forum, I know you have a database model. I cannot invade your database without the permission of these people. But you are able to work with us, and also because the only way we come across compliance is when somebody builds a camp on this side of the river and somebody else builds on the other side, they are facing each other, then they come to them. We don't want to get to that. It's only because of business competition that compliance now becomes an issue. We would like you to plan ahead and say, if this person builds here, the other one shouldn't build there. It shouldn't be an issue of NEMA coming to arbitrate and then NEMA deciding, oh, you know, these two people we are arbitrating, they are not even legally here. So really, we would like compliance. This is an opportunity for me to dialogue with you and also say that we are doing this exercise. You can give us your database voluntarily. Otherwise, we'll come and map those facilities. We have a questionnaire to fill for you. And then we'll put you there, and then we'll be coming. If you don't want us to come every year, we don't have a problem. The Kenya Flower Council, which is one of our biggest headache, or has been one of our biggest headaches. Right now, we don't have issues with them. Whatever we require is a compliance thing. We ask them as a group, because when you chase one person individually, you get tired. And if you are a group, you are able to control one wayward person. So there are people who don't conform. That's how you do. If you are not a member of this, who conform to this, it is a problem. Even some of the hotels who are now under this, what is it called, eco-rating. We find that eco-rating might be even higher than the audits we get from some of these our rogue experts, who most of them have no idea what this is all about, but who you hire, but also who we are really trying to crack the whip on. It really means then that if you are eco-rated, then we can actually compare our compliance level based on audit and that which is already eco-rated. All we need is not chase each other. We can say, all those who belong to this, because if this body is good, this is the way to go. And I think it will make our work easier, to make your work easier. So really, the issue of compliance that we are talking about here, even right now we hear a community thing, it's a CDF project. So you want to do a CDF project and the politician doesn't want to do an EIA. There's nothing like that. It doesn't matter what it is, like we can shut it down the way we can shut a private one. So I would like, wale watu wanatoka hata kwa community mjue, that if you want, because hii ni pesa ya serikali, we are also government and we are community where we come from. Even where I come from, I will not do that without a NEMA certificate. Even for NEMA, we were building houses the other day called the green points. And they come to management, can we fast track this thing? Where is the EIA? In management of NEMA, because we have to show the way forward. So really, I would like you to cooperate with us. Please help us. You have a very cohesive group. Let us deal with you as a group. And then we won't be coming to sort out small issues between us and you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Just one comment I'd like to add on NEMA's perspective on this. I think NEMA is not only concerned with the natural environment. They are also very concerned about the human environment. And I think the structures we have, the cohesion we have in Laikipia Wildlife Forum, I think that to me means on the matters of human environment, quite apart from matters of natural environment as well, that we are doing quite well. We are doing quite well because of the interest and the buy-in we have from various communities. So I think this will be a valuable tool, and I'd like to inform the Director General that we have a tourism committee that is having those discussions, that we don't, those sort of discussions that we don't want to come to NEMA about so and so being across from my living room or whatever. And we are coming up with a common cohesive strategy so that again we can form this regular interaction with you on these matters and bring to you matters of concern.